What's up, everyone? My name is Dylan Walker with Yahoo Esports. I've got Parasite here with me from Complexity. You're in town now for COD Champs, like the World Championship of Call of Duty. I gotta know, like, are you excited? Like, what is going through your head right now? How many times have you been now?
I've been to the Call of Duty World Championship twice now. I got first at my first one, and I placed third at the last one. I'm actually very excited to compete. I'm kind of going in as an underdog team this time around. We're kind of last minute because right before the Call of Duty XP qualifiers, there was a whole bunch of team shuffles before the online qualifier happened for the teams that weren't already logged in. So there's been a lot of team changes among the kind of mid-tier pro teams, and I happen to be around there. So I'm pretty excited to compete with this new roster, and we've been putting in a lot of work to make sure that we're at the top of our game.
So you've been around for a while now. I know besides first place a few years ago, how long have you been playing Call of Duty?
I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4 back in 2008. Really started getting into the competitive scene as in like traveling to events in 2011 during Black Ops 1. So I've been competing for a really long time.
Call of Duty 4 was the only one I was any good at, like, ever. So tell me about your group. I know you've got Optic in there, Panda, and LDLC. How do you approach, I mean, it seems pretty clear-cut to me, at least, that it would be you and Optic making out of this group. How do you approach Optic?
Well, I tend to have a pretty good history playing Optic. I would rather play them over the Envious right now, who's like they're kind of like the first and second place teams here. But I've had really good history versus them. Not to jinx myself or anything, but I've knocked them out both times that I've like attended the Call of Duty XP. However, they're a completely different roster now that they added Karma as opposed to last year when they had Nate Shot. Karma's a two-time world championship caliber player, and he also was on my team when we won the first Call of Duty championship. So that kind of that rivalry is always present, and he's one of my best friends. So it's like it's a friendly rivalry, but you know during the game it gets really heated, and like we want to beat each other really bad. So
Yeah. So tell me what happened, because you haven't always been on Complexity, right? How did this roster come about?
Okay, so I was on Complexity pretty much this whole year. I was on and off the roster, however, because I wasn't the team captain of the team, and I kind of had this whole attitude problem about me that I'm kind of notorious for, but I really tried to work on it, and I've really tried to become a better teammate, to kind of raise my personable level up until like up to my skill level type of thing.
Okay.
And getting dropped from the team every now and then because of conflicting interest and stuff like that. I ended up getting back on the team last second because Cloud9 and Complexity we're trying to make roster changes to benefit each other. However, it ended up making it so that the Cloud9 roster went to Complexity and the Complexity roster went to Cloud9. So when that happened, the Complexity owner, which was Jason Lake, he hit me up and said, hey man, I want you to captain this team. I want you to lead this team. I think you have a lot of talent and you have really good leadership skills. And the Cloud9 team, they're very talented players, but they're not as experienced as myself. So he thought that I could bring a lot to their team.
So when you talk about attitude, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but
okay.
what made you want to change, and what did you change?
Well, I honestly feel like a lot of the stuff that I got was kind of undeserved. I think people focused on a lot of the bad things that I did, and like when it came to like recording stuff that like like Parasite, they would record like the bad stuff. And like, I mean, everyone has those moments, me sometimes more than others. However, I think it was very, very undeserved because I still think this scene is very kind of closed-minded, at least among the competitive like aspect. And I think a lot of people kind of need to open their eyes if they want to like compete and be champions, because I feel like the player pool for the most part and like the winning pool has been very similar throughout these whole years. And I feel like it's because people are so close-minded and they don't know how to build like good rosters, and they kind of people just team with their friends rather than potential champions and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that stuff has always interested me. It always seems like some of the most talented players have a problem like get that kind of rap sometimes, just because they're so passionate about winning and doing whatever it takes to do that. So in a sense, you're kind of a veteran now. You've been around for a while. There's all these new players coming in, and you were talking about what's holding people back, being closed-minded and things like that. From your perspective, is there a attitude problem like in the community, you'd say? I mean, this is like the pop-off game for, people come in here, Heroes of the Storm. Those guys, just go shake hands and meekly bow to each other and things like that.
I more so think it's kind of off camera, and it's also I think the main problem with the community is kind of the hypocritical nature of a lot of the players. I think I get criticized the most for things that other players do in kind of a more like worse fashion, but since they're kind of like liked in the pro scene, at least on a personal level, it kind of reflects less on them. Kind of like basically, it's like I could say one thing. If I said something that this guy said, it's like, oh, this guy's an ass. And then if this guy says something, it's like, he's funny,
right?
Type of thing.
Right.
And I feel like it's very strange because seeing that, and then even nowadays, like a lot of the casters and stuff like that, and a lot of people that kind of are behind the scenes are like always talking about like, oh yeah, Call of Duty's about rivalries, like we want to see like some trash talk and stuff like that. And then I go back in my past and I'm like, when I did this, I was crucified as the enemy. Yep. So now that people want this stuff, now you want to come to us and be like, hey, do this more often. And after maturing and stuff like that for these so many years, I kind of just like learned to just take a step back from that and just not take it as seriously, because I've kind of just bit the bullet in a sense and said, you know what, this scene's it's probably not going to change, at least for a very, very long time. So I'm just going to kind of sit here quietly, do my thing, and focus on my team and focus on myself, and take the experience one at a time and avoid the drama as much as possibly can.
Well, it seems like you've grown a lot, put a lot of thought into this. I'm excited to see your games at COD Champs. I'll be there. For everybody else, this is Yahoo Esports.